Greetings. I've learned a few major lessons this week, and I'm hoping that we can sit down and paint and sort of figure that out together today. You can see we have a painting right here, which I find to be extremely interesting and one of my favorite ones that I have ever done. Yeah, I'm not gonna say too much about it before we get started. There's really not that much left to do on it. Okay. Globes. This right here, all of this color, paintbrush water. Literally just dip the brush into the paintbrush water. The color that it's made, that's what this color is. That's everywhere. It's excellent. I love that color. It's a very nice color. I just realized I was doing the thing where I just paint without you guys being able to see it. Well, here's the thing, man. There are some proportions that are exaggerated. There are some things that are left out. There are some things that don't technically make sense, but I think that's what makes this interesting, in my view. I put a lot of effort into this one, which that actually kind of leads me into what I wanted to talk to you guys about a little bit today, but let me reconvene with the piece real quick and make sure there's nothing else that needs to be done before we dive into this a little bit deeper. You know, now that we're real close, I realize it's an ode to figure drawing. I combined a lot of my favorite parts from the last two, the two figures that I've been doing figures drawings on for the past couple of weeks. Man, I love this piece. This might be one of my favorite ones that I've ever done. So I've mentioned before on this channel that I have functional neurological disorder. Essentially, it's a miscommunication between your body and your brain. It causes weird spaz outs that usually exist with like more severe neurological conditions, except for it's all functional. So none of the actual wiring or anything like that is damaged, which is good. I had gone a significant period of time without having any FND episodes, to the point where when I had one again, I was like, wow, I'm very grateful that this feels like a weird thing, you know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, if you saw last week's video, I was working on a home media server, but I spent several days completely just engulfed in that project, like just very fixated on it. I still took care of the necessary, you know, household duties and everything like that, but outside of that, all of my time was spent just working on this server. That took a lot out of me neurologically, and that sent me back into having multiple FND episodes. I abandoned sort of the routine that I had built and everything like that, just because I was so hyper-focused on this server. And yeah, in the span of like 2 weeks, I had like 3 of them, which was very brutal. For me, the way that it mostly occurs in my life is basically I wake up in the middle of the night, I go to bed, I wake up almost exactly 2 hours after that. I will wake up and things will be moving really intensely, like vestibular wise. So it doesn't look like the world around me is moving, but it feels like the world around me is moving super intensely. Sometimes it can be forward motion, sometimes it can be rocking, sometimes it can change on the day and everything like that. And so when that happens, it messes up my sleep and it's extremely uncomfortable, but it also saps my energy for like the next day, and then it takes roughly a week to recover if I'm not going on multiple episodes. And the past week I had 2 episodes, which completely took me out for the entire week, and I'm just now getting back to things. by trying to reinstate the routine that I had built, which is very, I'm not going to go over every single step of it, but it's very long and very specific. But if I do know that if I do all of those things, 90% of the time I'll have a good day. Even if bad things happen, I'm better equipped to handle it. But it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of time to do it, and when I get hyper fixated on something, I can't think about anything else. Like, I spend the time, there's like a side process in my brain that's running that's like, oh man, it would sure be nice to paint, but it just completely gets overridden during that time. It's like, no, we are fixing the server. We started the process and we are not stopping until the process is done. So the first half of this week was spent basically just having the FND episodes and being completely stuck in a hyperfixation mode on the server that I was working on. And then the second half of the week, at least the past few days leading up to today, has been trying to get out of that, reinstate things by doing my routine again, which for me includes exercising, which has become, listen, I very much enjoy it. I enjoy the effect that it has on me, but I don't want to do it. Back to you, Robinson. Yep. You know, this whole YouTube thing has been such a trip for me, and it's been a very much of a learning experience. It teaches me a lot about art in the sense that when I very first started, I was flailing. You know, I was trying anything and everything all of the time because I didn't know what felt right to me because I had never made videos before. And I tried all sorts of different types of videos, and in those, there were certain things that I tried that really felt right and really made me happy. There were also certain things that, you know, worked in terms of algorithmically and everything like that. And so for me, it's been this long process of iteration, of adding in the things that I like and keeping those things and trying to keep them consistent, and then removing the things that I don't really like. And I wish that it was this thing where, like, I had this finalized idea, I had this show ready, I had this whole thing ready to go when I started. But the truth is, I started this only knowing that I loved painting and that I needed to get my painting out to more people. I didn't know where making videos would take me, really. I like making videos, and that was the reason why I went that route instead of the other possible routes in terms of doing more with your painting, but I didn't have that intention in the first place. Now, I very much realized that I love the idea of having a show, like some sort of my own show, which is beyond the canvas. And if you watch back, there's a video called Make Bad Art. That's one of my very first videos, maybe like 10 or 15 in, something like that. And I start out with the intro that an intro very similar to what you'll see in today's video. And the whole video was just kind of like a silly video. It was this experimental thing, but it was the most fun that I ever had making a video. Now, whether that video is legible or not is a completely different question. Like, first, you know, I was flailing. I had no idea what I wanted to do. Then, when I had my first FND episode, I sat down and I recorded a video about it because that's just what felt like I needed to do. And that outperformed everything on my channel to that date. And on top of that, it was one of the most enjoyable videos that I had made to date because I didn't feel like I was just slapping stuff together. I felt like there was a real core thing that I was editing around. So I spent a lot of time working on that skill, which is the ability to articulate myself to the camera in a way that makes sense and is also authentic to myself. And I'm not saying that I am by any means some sort of wizard at that. I have a long ways to go to, to be considered even probably good at that. But I can at least express myself in a way that feels, to me at least, vulnerable and is readable to to somebody who might not know me personally. So I worked on that and I got a little bit better at that. But then I realized that the format was sort of like lacking a little bit. The container, how did I want to put this into some sort of understandable and legible container? And what stuck out to me immediately, without even really having to think, was the Beyond the Canvas idea, because I just loved making that video so much. And just the idea of like having my own little channel out there on the internet broadcasting to people for anybody who wants to watch it for free is just, it's a very pleasing idea. I have, like, even on my own home media servers, I have little TV stations set up with channel bumpers and commercials and stuff. All I'm saying is I'm very much interested in media preservation and the creation of media. And so I've done a lot of work in my life just as a hobby in terms of media preservation, but to create the ability to create something new that feels good to me and feels like the stuff that I enjoy, that is free to everybody, makes me just so incredibly happy. So that is the reason that I have chosen the Beyond the Canvas container. And I'm still kind of working on refining that container a little bit, but now that I've got that in place, I've been focusing a lot more on what can I do to really add more meat to what I'm doing. And I mean, that's what I'm currently working on today. That's what I'm working on right now. I hope that I'm getting a little bit closer to that. That's kind of what I wanted to say about my YouTube channel. I care a lot about it and have been just really very much enjoying the process of mining this core idea of whatever it is going to become. I've been incredibly pleased with the direction that my art has been taking since I've started drawing. It's given me a lot more options on things to do, which is pretty much exactly what I was hoping that it would. I was so scared for so long to like really commit to trying to learn traditional drawing because I felt like it would kill some sort of creative impulse inside of me. But I think that they're just two different things, you know? You have the art, which is the creative impulse, and then you have the craft, which is the actual painting and drawing and that kind of thing. Outside of that, I really don't have that much for you guys today. It's been a week of recovery, a week of building out my home network, a week of working on a server, and deepening my painting practice. The album of the week this week is Trusting Yourself and the Process. I think that's all that I really have to say about that. I hope that you have a wonderful next 9 days. If you have not already subscribed, please consider doing so. It helps the channel as we are quite small. And also, if you like the video, that will help it get out to a greater audience. And I think now we're even eligible for the hyping stuff. There's like a new hype thing on YouTube. I don't really know if it helps or does anything. I don't really know that much about this. But do it, because I'm sure it'll help somehow in a certain way. So, have a wonderful week. I will see you in 9 days.